Hello and welcome to Gateway to Being. I'm Kathleen Deal. Today I want to talk about your identity, which I also call the story of me. Have you ever noticed that when two people first meet, they tend to ask each other a standard list of questions? Questions such as, what is your name? Where are you from? What do you do for a living? Are you married? Well, they're interesting questions if you really stop to think about it. A common scenario in which we are put in the position of divulging this standard list of information is at certain types of meetings or gatherings. You're sitting in a room with a new group of people you've never met, and the group leader says, "Let's go around the room one at a time and tell each other a little bit about ourselves and why we are here." Well, if you've ever been in that type of setting, you know that's your cue. You're going to give the exact kind of information I just mentioned: name, location, job title, etc. The goal and intention of this tradition is innocent enough, and in my experience, people generally go along with the request. But if you are anything like me, you might also be thinking, "Oh yay, time to present the overall story of me. Time to define myself by what I do, who I'm with, and what I've accomplished, so everyone can supposedly know who I am." I know, it's all in the spirit of getting to know one another. And I admit the ritual can be fun and interesting, but then again, do you ever wonder what is going on inside everyone's minds when a room full of people are put in the position of giving and receiving personal profiles of themselves in just a few short minutes? It's almost as if the entire room is subconsciously beckoning, "Tell me all these statistics so I can use them to form an image of you in my head, which I will then use to decide whether or not you're worth my time." Okay, maybe I'm being a little harsh. I'm admittedly a rare breed who enjoys delving straight into the hidden aspects of human behavior. It's as if I was born pre-wired for looking into the deeper why behind the why when it comes to why we do what we do. So it was pretty much inevitable that I would eventually take notice of this habit of giving and receiving personal statistics and end up concluding it to be a pretty loaded tradition. Even after that realization, it hasn't exactly been easy to count myself out of the ritual. After all, if my goal is to meet, connect, and interact with new people, how am I going to go about that if I refuse to play the game? If I refuse to participate in these traditional social rituals? Of course, there's always that choice. I'm not saying we can't refuse to participate. We could opt out of such a situation by sitting silently with a smile, or maybe declaring, "Who I am cannot be described with words," or "I am that I am." Either one could potentially enlighten the whole room to a new possibility. Well, fat chance. Unless you happen to be with a group of highly conscious individuals, you will more likely be perceived as having some sort of better than attitude. But if nothing else, it would be an interesting social experiment. But the purpose of all this is twofold. First, to take notice of the descriptions you've been using to define yourself. I am a fill in the blank. Ask yourself how strongly you believe in this identity you have created for yourself. How strongly you believe that you are your job title, that you are the middle-aged father, the cancer patient, the former Miss America, or any of these things you have used to describe yourself. Through the act of taking a few moments to look at your own self-proclaimed identity, you can begin to see how all these things are simply the roles you have chosen to play and the experiences you have had. These roles and experiences can only become who you are to the extent that you allow them, believe in them, and identify with them. In other words, you created this picture of who you are, and you are free to create a different picture at any time. I'm not suggesting you are not the mother, the firefighter, the alcoholic, or the award-winning artist you say you are. I'm just pointing out that when we allow our roles and experiences to become our identities, we not only lock ourselves into defining who we are in ways that don't serve us, we also blind ourselves to alternate possibilities that would otherwise be available. Second, I want to invite you to take an honest assessment of the impression you continually try to present to the world. We'll get into the physical aspects of this a little bit later, but for now, simply look at the information you choose to divulge and notice why you tend to choose those things in particular. The answer is nearly universal. There is an agenda. Whether consciously or unconsciously, there is a desire to score a few points in the minds of others. Here's a thought-provoking example. A man or woman might proudly declare, "I am the mother or father of 2 amazing sons and a beautiful daughter." Yet our children do not go around saying, "I am the son or daughter of 2 outstanding parents," when asked to describe themselves. No matter how much our children love us, it just never occurs to them to say such a thing, because it really doesn't score them any points socially, unless, well, maybe they have a parent who is famous or well known in the public's eye. Here's an example from my own life. I played the role of full-time stay-at-home mom for over 14 years, beginning at a time when there wasn't much recognition of mothering as a job. Even though I loved it and I found it highly fulfilling, the impression I got was that most people envisioned me sitting around watching soap operas all day, baking cookies in between diaper changes, and kissing boo-boos. The position lacked prestige. In fact, I can't count how many times someone who, after I said I'm a stay-at-home mom, would ask me, "Do you work?" I'm thinking, "Are you kidding?" It didn't take me long to discover that if I added the fact that I'm co-authoring a book with a medical doctor to the mix, which was also true, there would be an immediate shift in attitude. Oh, suddenly, I was this intelligent and interesting person. Go figure. I'm still the same person, but in the other person's eyes, I'm someone completely new. When you get that kind of feel-good feedback, the ego stands up and takes notice. "Oh, check it out," the ego says. "I'm really something." And off it goes, lining up ways to recreate that good feeling. And since I was raised with a strong honesty at all costs dynamic, I never dreamed of taking it to the level of fabricating stories about myself. And I was incredibly naive and oblivious to the possibility that this was exactly what most people were doing, and still do. If you're with me on this idea that nearly everyone is on an ego quest and it's only a matter of degree, and that this ego quest often involves both subtle and obvious exaggerations, omissions, and fabrications in their never-ending desire to make ourselves look good, well, the next question becomes, how many people are aware they're doing it? What about you? I'm Kathleen Deal, and thank you for listening.